A new season of Hokie ball is here. We're opening up on the road against the defending national champions, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's banner night for Texas Tech as they trot out their possible first-round quarterback, Collin Westwood, his new partner in crime in the backfield, Mark Armstrong, the Virginia Tech running back, and we're going to look to spoil the fun. Last episode, we previewed the season. We went in depth over a lot of our transfers and some of the most notable position battles, specifically the quarterback position with Ace Morgan and Cam Kingsbury battling it out for the starting spot. We also went through a lot of the other notable teams across the country, and we'll continue to do so as the season goes along. Before we get to the opener against Texas Tech, I will briefly go through some other housekeeping stuff. We'll start with our schedule. In non-conference play, as I've mentioned, we'll open up with Texas Tech on the road. Home opener in Week 2 against Marshall, and then we've got Maryland on the road in Week 3, a team who's quite near us geographically, so in terms of location, I guess a mini rivalry, if you will. ACC play starts at Syracuse, and then it gets hard with Miami and Clemson, two playoff caliber rosters. We have a bye week and then a non-conference game against East Carolina. The Pirates were one of the better group of 5 teams a year ago, followed by North Carolina and Louisville. That's an interesting stretch in the middle because all 3 of those teams are talented. All 3 of them have good quarterbacks. UNC hoping for a better year from Jadel Mathis. Louisville with a big year of progression from Judah Hudson. And they're all at home. We then have a bye week. We will play on the road at Duke. We will play on the road at number 4 SMU with Tyree Wells, the projected number 1 pick. And then Virginia, the Commonwealth Clash, to round things out. So it's going to be a really hard schedule with 3 playoff teams from last year, SMU, Miami, and Texas Tech. You've got Clemson, who's a playoff caliber team. You've got North Carolina, who's talented enough to get there. East Carolina was one of the best small school teams last year. So it is going to be a major challenge. But at the beginning of this series, I specifically said I don't want it to be easy for us. That same mantra also applies to recruiting, and if you remember at the beginning of last season, I made some recruiting rules for myself that I think ended up adding to the challenge in a good way. I can put any non-5-star on the board that I want at the start of the year, but after the first game, from there, I can only put 3 stars and below. So if I want to put a 4-star on, it's got to be before we play our first game. In terms of scouting, I can fully scout any player from a blue or gold pipeline state. For instance, Virginia, Maryland, the states with the most pipeline players for us, they're blue. North Carolina is gold. They would be next on the list. So we can fully scout those players right away. We can partially scout anybody from a silver or bronze pipeline. Pennsylvania, for instance, is a bronze state. This applies until the recruiting special, and then after that, we can fully scout everyone on the board. But these scouting rules would then apply to the new players who we will put on the board after the special. From there, I can only put 1 5-star on the board at the beginning of the year. That is cornerback Hashim Ugwabegu. If we don't land him, then it's not like we can put any other 5 stars on. Once we're a 4-star, we can put 2 5-star prospects on the board. Simulating into Week 0, we already have a prospect who has taken us out of their list. Offensive tackle Hakeem Kamalu. So we're going to take him off the board. But since it's still before our first game, we are allowed to replace him with a 4-star player. It's unfortunate that he doesn't want to come here because he was one of the guys I was especially interested in. But it seems like Kamalu wants to go to a big school. So we'll replace him with cornerback Ahmad Logan instead. And then going into Week 1, a lot of movement. Running back Robert Littlejohn has taken us out. He was one of my most highest targets on the board, so that one kind of stings a little bit. I really wanted to land him. Most of the players here did put us in their top 8, which is good, but I am bummed about Robert Littlejohn because I think running back is a pretty big long-term need for us, and I think he's going to be really good. Kyle Beavers, top 50 player nationally off the edge. He takes us off the list. Linebacker Kadeem Maples, and then in the secondary, cornerback Marco Clark, and safety Junior Poha. So all of those guys have removed us. We will not be able to land any of them. And now that we're in Week 1, this is the last opportunity to add any 4-star player onto the board. That opens up 5 slots, but I'm actually going to remove a couple other players as well. There are some guys here who I just don't think we're really going to stand a chance on. I don't think we're going to prioritize them, and schools are going after them hard. Wide receiver Timofey Fujita and Darren Hakeem are 2 talented guys, both 4 stars, but they've got bigger schools going after them really quickly, and I don't think we can really do that. So this is the final group of 4 stars we will add to the board. No additional 4 stars will be added through the course of the year until the offseason with the transfer portal, and then we're allowed to do what we want. But this is how we're going to use our points for the first week. I'm not really going to talk about recruiting, though, until the recruiting special, which will be in 2 or 3 episodes from now. That way we can kind of be surprised learning about these guys in depth for the first time. We do have a couple games to go over across the country for week 0 as we start off at Akron. The Zips lost their star quarterback, Denny Love, to the transfer portal. He's playing at Alabama this year. They're facing off against Maryland, a team who we're going to play against in just a couple of weeks from now. So this is our first opportunity to look at a team who we'll be going on the road against. Game 1 of the season would be upset number 1. What a catch! But the standout senior wide receiver, Karma Bayless, he will be an NFL player for sure. 28-23, Akron with the win over the Terps. The big story is definitely the Akron quarterback, Marco DeRico. The redshirt junior threw for 4 scores and led the team in rushing. Denny Love who? Maybe that Akron system just really favors the quarterback. Up and down game for Dylan Chester. A touchdown for the true freshman starting running back Dontel Jett. And 150 yards for wide receiver Miller Hamby. He'll be getting some NFL looks. The other notable Week 0 game finds us in South Bend. Baylor facing off against Notre Dame. The Irish lost a lot this past season. Quarterback Brendan Holloway at the top of the list, drafted in the first round by the Steelers. So this team is going to really rely on their running back, Amari Blue, who didn't play his best game, but the top projected running back in this year's drafts would score twice, once on the ground, once through the air. Notre Dame wins despite a big Baylor comeback, 34-31. Jabari Scarborough, a freshman, was okay for Baylor. As for Notre Dame, a very positive first impression for quarterback Maxwell Logan, acquired in the transfer portal from Temple. Super efficient, airing it around the field. Amari Blue only averaged 3.5 yards per carry, but the receivers were good. Go-Go Halans, Christian Session, and Baxton Wallingford were all impressive. The other game saw Mississippi State defeat FCS Southeast 52-14. So only 3 games in Week 0, but we do have an upset with Akron beating Maryland and a close one in South Bend. Baylor giving Notre Dame a late run for their money. No change in the top 25. They don't switch the rankings until after Week 1. Not that I think there's really anything to switch. Heisman's the same deal. No one's really going to move in the Heisman race yet. So that gets us set for Week 1. Pretty much everyone across the country is making their debut, including us. We're headed on the road to face off against Texas Tech in one of 6 top 25 matchups in Week 1. This slate is loaded. Georgia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Stanford, SMU, Texas, Florida, Clemson, Kansas State, Michigan, and of course our game as well. As I've talked about with our schedule, it is brutal. The one team in the country who might have a worse schedule is Texas Tech. They are giving themselves the gauntlet. 3 ranked opponents to start the year. They've got us on Monday night, a short week on the road against a very good TCU team, and then at home against Arizona State. It's a little bit easier from there, but then they've got a 4-game road stand, including Oklahoma State and Stanford, a playoff team from last year. That's 4 straight road games without having a bye week yet all year. Then they have 2 straight weeks off, and they play Cincinnati. That is a very poorly constructed schedule. I feel like they're getting screwed with 4 straight road games and no byes until after that road stretch. These guys won't make excuses, though. There's a reason why they won the national championship last year, led by the college football playoff MVP Collin Westwood, who is back. I'm not sold on him yet being a first rounder. I know the stats pop off the page, but they are kind of inflated in this game, along with the fact that he played 16 games. But the fact of the matter is, he was really good last year. He was phenomenal down the stretch and certainly could play himself into the first round. He's got a new partner in crime at running back. It's a familiar face. Mark Armstrong leaves Virginia Tech in the transfer portal, going to Texas Tech. He's been the RB1 for us for 3 years. Up and down season last year, not so much in terms of performance by the second half, but he was really banged up seemingly all year. I give him credit for playing every game, but he really wasn't all that consistent until the very end, where he had that ridiculous game against the University of Virginia. The wide receiver room will definitely look a lot different this year for the Red Raiders as they attempt to replace the production from national championship game MVP Caleb Hobbs, who was drafted in the top 10 by the Denver Broncos, along with Jordan Newton, who was picked in the 3rd round by the Cardinals. But they return Will Sara, who was arguably better than both of those guys through the college football playoff. And they landed a huge swing through the portal with Elvis Phantom from Baylor, who regressed a little bit as a junior. But I more so think it was because that Baylor offense was kind of messy. Texas Tech has good history with wide receivers coming from the portal. Both Hops and Newton were only here for 1 year. They were both portal guys. Newton coming from Tulsa, Hops coming from Colorado, where he was teammates with Tyree Wells. Incredible to think that both of those guys were on the same team. What an all-time fumble by Colorado. What scares me the most about their 91 overall defense is the two guys that they have in the middle. Jesus Roos and Denario Lasco were both very valuable role players for Texas Tech defensively last year, but now they're expected to take on a bigger load as the two star players. Both of them had major jumps in the offseason and are both projected to go in the 1st round of this year's draft. A couple orders of business on our end before we get started, including naming team captains and a starting quarterback. Only one captain from last year returns. That's offensive tackle Dante Diamont. The other junior captain, Darius Penny, of course, leaving us in the portal. So we have to name 5 new captains. The first, no major surprise, running back Chris Mickens. The other offensive captain will be wide receiver Nazir Ishmael, who as I've said, anticipating he only stays 1 more year. On defense, linebacker, the best world. He'll be the green dot, the leader in the middle of the defense, replacing Noah Singleton. And then in the secondary, Elihu Gold, I think, is going to be one of our best defensive players. He's got a big test today, having to cover Sara and Phantom. And then the other captain will be redshirt sophomore Colby Cook, a younger guy who I really feel like has developed into one of the best players on this team and a guy who I'm extremely excited to continue building around. All right, one final order of business before we get started. We've got to name a starting quarterback. We've delayed it here until the very end, but a decision has been made. Between Ace Morgan and Cam Kingsbury, there's certainly reasons for both, but I'm trying to pick the guy who I think is best suited to help us win games right now. And of the two of them, Ace Morgan already has a year of college experience under his belt. Now, granted, he did not take a snap last year at Clemson, but he's been in a college system. He has been able to train for a year. He's been able to learn what it's like to be a collegiate starting quarterback. So he will be the starter going into the year. There will not be a quarterback rotation. He's the guy. He'll play the whole game unless he gets benched or hurt or something. Now, that doesn't mean Cam Kingsbury will not get an opportunity. I do plan on playing him this year, and he may get an opportunity to start. For now, we are going to redshirt him to preserve eligibility, but there is a chance, if things do go south with Morgan, that Cam Kingsbury will get the opportunity. We are not holding that long of a leash on Morgan. So let's get this show on the road. A rainy one here in Lubbock. Number 23, Virginia Tech against number 9, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders, the reigning national champions, they're losing quite a few pieces. Hops and Newton on offense. Edge rusher Olufemi Oladejo picked in the 2nd round by the Bills, and safety Jamichael Bredesen in the 3rd round by the Vikings. Here on the return, Keontae Trice Taylor brings it just shy of the 20, and we'll take our first look at the offense. Chris Mickens, the transfer running back from UMass, and Ace Morgan, the quarterback transfer from Clemson, the redshirt freshman, lead the charge for the Hokies. First offensive play from scrimmage. It's a read option. Denario Lasco blows it up immediately. Both Lasco and Roos made some big plays for this Texas Tech team last year, and both of them in the middle, I think, might be the 2 best defensive tackle prospects in the country. On 3rd down, Morgan looks to throw it. He goes short. Mickens' first touch breaks the tackle. He only gets around 2 or 3. The Red Raiders get the stop. It's Alvarez with the tackle. We take our first look at the Texas Tech offense with Collin Westwood, the college football playoff MVP, and Mark Armstrong, who I think is better than the guys they had at running back last year. Armstrong gets it on 3rd down, bounces up the field, and he gets the first down past the 35, wrapped up by number 0, Emmanuel DeRugi, the transfer from Central Michigan. Very solid opening drive so far for the Red Raiders. That one is caught by David Ajala. Makes a man miss inside the 15, nearing the 10. Really nice play after the catch. It goes for 22 for the redshirt junior who's competing for a bigger role. Armstrong bounces off a blocker, breaks a tackle, and is eventually wrapped up. It's Mitch Myrie, number 1, the senior transfer, along with Justice Watkins, the veteran free safety. 3rd and 9, short throw is caught. The tight end, Jamison Kamara, breaks about 4 tackles, but he still ends up with nothing. Smoke Lewis, the sophomore corner, brings him down, starting on the outside, opposite of Elihu Gold. That'll bring out the field goal unit. Redshirt junior Justice Mesko, his kick is good, and the Red Raiders are on the board. A 26-yarder for Mesko, and it's 3-0. Let's take our next look at the Virginia Tech offense, hoping this drive goes a little better than the last one. 3rd down and 5. That's Daniel Caffrey in motion, the Iowa transfer. Caffrey gets it with a nice block, gets the first down. Juke move, Caffrey nearing the 40. Great play after the catch by Caffrey. Super productive in his 2 seasons as a starter, and I think he'll be a great complement alongside Nazir Ismail. Chris Mickens, his first handoff goes for a loss. Eric Alvarez with the tackle for loss, another one of Texas Tech's key players from last year returning to the defense. 2nd and 12. Mickens gets it again, tries to bounce away, but he loses more yards. It's Jesus Roos with the TFL. That'll make it a 3rd down and 13. Both of Mickens' first carries go for negative yardage. Morgan looks to throw it under pressure. He is sacked. Denario Lasco, what a start for this defensive tackle duo. 2 of the most dynamic defensive players in the country making their presence felt early as the Red Raiders get it back, coming off a field goal on drive number 1. Off play action, it's Daniel Singleton who with the game-winning touchdown in the semifinals against Ohio State brings it to the 45. Whoop, whoop. Couple of spins for Armstrong, wrapped up near the 20 by Elihu Gold. I did not know Mark Armstrong had that in his bag, I'll be honest. 2nd down and 1 for the Red Raiders inside the red zone. Westwood looks to throw it. He'll go short. That's a 1st down. Jamison Kamara, the tight end, inside the 5. Kamara played a very pivotal role on Texas Tech's championship team last year. Armstrong up the middle, fights for yardage, he's in. Mark Armstrong has had a very strong opening quarter against his former team, rumbling into the end zone for a touchdown to make it 10-0. Armstrong only had 4 rushing touchdowns last year. Impressive for a short yardage back. You'd think it'd be a lot more. He had 14 as a sophomore. 10-0 lead for the Red Raiders. Here's Ashwell Virgo with the 1st down, the redshirt sophomore. Him and Esteban Cabrera will still certainly play a role on this offense, even with the addition of Chris Mickens, who's in the backfield here. It's play action. Morgan rolls out to the right side. Morgan wants it all off his back foot. He's got Ishmael! Wide open, a gain of 54. Tied for the longest reception in the career of Nazir Ismail. Not a very good first quarter overall, but an excellent ending. What a route by Ishmael. He was open by like 10 yards at one point. It was not a perfect throw, but still an impressive one given that Morgan was under pressure off his back foot. That's not an easy play to make. Ace Morgan, 4 for 4, 74 yards in the opening quarter. Texas Tech leads 10-0, but Virginia Tech's getting a little something going. We've got to run the ball better. As a team, we have 2 rushing yards. Chris Mickens, I believe, is in the negatives up to this point. Not ideal for the guy who we said we're going to build the entire offense around. Mickens to the right of Morgan here on 2nd down as he gets it with nowhere to go. Lasco, 3 TFLs already. I mean, these guys are looking all the part of being All-Americans, first-rounders. Man, have they been impressive. 3rd and 9, Morgan is sacked by Jesus Roos. The right guard, Javon McLeod, the true freshman, has had a pretty rough debut. I decided to put him on the bench after that. 36-yarder for the true freshman kicker, K.C. Swinyer. His first kick as a Hokie. Why is it so dramatic? Doink! He missed it! Ashton Lemon did not miss a single field goal last year. K.C. Swinyer is 0 for 1, and it remains 10-0. Some freshman mistakes. McLeod allows the sack. Swinyer misses the kick. Westwood, wide open. Not going to be enough of the 1st down. That's Tavita Nicky, who's going to be the slot receiver, with Will Sara getting more reps on the outside this year. Tech has it back. Mickens loses more. I mean, he has had no room to go. He hasn't done himself any favors, but it's not really his fault. The run blocking has been absolutely abysmal so far. We are getting dominated in the trenches. Third down, Morgan's going to go short. We know we don't have enough time to look down the field and have the play develop because the offensive line isn't going to have time to block. Virgo gets a couple, and we've got to punt it away. A rough start offensively for the Hokies. Westwood keeps it himself. He's thrown down for a loss. Emmanuel DeRougy, along with Roylan Mathis, the sophomore defensive tackle, who I believe is poised, hopefully, for a huge season. Third down and 7. Westwood at empty, under 6 to go in the first half. Westwood looks to throw it as a clean pocket, and that one is caught into traffic. Jamison Kabara hangs on. Westwood, I believe, has only thrown one incompletion. Granted, most of his throws have been short, as it's Armstrong to the left side. Armstrong looks to break away from Watkins, and is wrapped up out of bounds by Mitch Myrie. The senior safety in his Virginia Tech debut has looked pretty good. First down, back to Armstrong. Bounces off a blocker. Armstrong, first down. What a start for Mark Armstrong. 10 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Chris Mickens is still in the negatives, by the way. Lob for the end zone, incomplete. Elvis Phantom was doubled. So Virginia Tech gets the stop. That'll bring out the field goal unit. Mesco made one earlier from 26. This one from 39. It is good. 13-0 lead for the Red Raiders. Offense has got to get it together. I know Texas Tech has a great defensive line, but my God, they are manhandling us up front. Morgan connects with Ishmael to the 45. It's impressive that Morgan's been this efficient so far, and Ishmael's been really good. Mickens loses yardage again. 4 TFLs for Lasco. He has been unblockable. Third down and 4. Morgan looks to throw it up the middle. It's Ishmael with a juke move. Splits the defense. 10, 5, touchdown! Nazir Ishmael puts the Hokies on the board. What a ridiculous play by an unbelievably ridiculous player who already has over 100 yards in this game. Nazir Ishmael has a chance to be a high NFL pick. So far, so good. Here in game 1 of his junior season, he is moving differently so far this year. I did not know he had that type of quickness and that type of footwork. He's been getting open with ease all day, and now we're seeing what he can do with the ball in his hands after the catch. Morgan, 8 of 10, 140 yards and a touchdown, as it's 13-7. Westwood, under pressure, sacked for the first time today. Braylon White, the junior, is the one who brings him down. That would pretty much wrap up the first half. 13-7, a low-scoring game. An impressive start for the former Hokie Mark Armstrong, who has 10 carries for 81. Virginia Tech has certainly missed him. So far as a team, we have 15 carries for 6 yards. Chris Mickens, 7 carries for -2. You watching at home, yes, you have more rushing yards as a Virginia Tech Hokie than Chris Mickens. Now, I think defensively we have done a pretty good job overall. Collin Westwood has only thrown one incompletion, but he hasn't really pushed the ball down the field. 13 of 14 for only 108 yards, and we've taken their top 2 receivers out of the game. Elvis Phantom only has 2 catches for 22 yards, and Will Sara, who was one of the best players in the college football playoff, has not touched the ball yet. Smoke Lewis and Elihu Gold at corner have been unbelievable so far. As we go into the third on second down, it'll be an RPO, lobbed up. What a catch! David Ajala, who has stepped up with Phantom and Sara both not doing much, as it's Phantom thrown down to the ground by Quincy Akindele. It's been that kind of day for the Texas Tech receivers. Play action. Westwood connects with Matlock, who is thrown down by Mitch Myrie. What a Virginia Tech debut it has been for Myrie, preventing the first down. Hokies get it back. Here's Mickens on first down. Whoop, whoop. There he goes. Look at all that space. Chris Mickens down the field. He gets 52. There's the guy we've been waiting for. It was a quiet first half for Chris Mickens. He had no room to run. All we had to do was give him a little bit of space and let him do the rest. He moves differently. Honestly, I feel like there are a lot of parallels to his game and Cornell Teamer, the way they can just jump around. They can make anybody miss in a phone booth. So after that 52-yard run, he now has, 50 yards on the game. Play action. Morgan fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by the defense. Right as we get the big run, the offense turns it over. Carlos Ruiz with the recovery, the standout junior. Senior edge rusher Spencer McPherson with the force, and he did a really good job on that play, but you also have to credit the interior of the defensive line for collapsing the pocket. Lasco and Roos continuing to be the two best players on the field by a wide margin. So the Red Raiders get it back off the turnover. Westwood has a very clean pocket. Looking down the field, broken away, incomplete. Westwood had one incompletion in the first half. He has 2 incompletions over his last 2 plays. Defense continues to play well. We haven't sent much pressure, but our coverage has been really good, especially in the back end. Morgan on first down, sacked again. McPherson once more, along with Eric Alvarez, bring him down. Ace Morgan's done a great job throwing the ball, but he's been pretty oblivious to pressure in this game. 3rd and 20, Morgan looks to throw it. Scrambles around, has some room, does not get a block, fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Virginia Tech. Guess who it was with the force? Denario Lasco does it again. I mean, is he not unbelievable? He looks like he could be the #1 pick. He's been that good. 3rd and 4, RPO. Intercepted! Smoke Lewis jumps the route, and Virginia Tech forces the turnover. Will Sara is an All-American Heisman favorite who was carving up teams left and right in the playoff. He still has not caught the ball today. Smoke Lewis has him in hell. Jumps the route, makes a play on the ball. First career interception for the sophomore in what has been a breakout game for Lewis. Now we've got to get it together on offense. Morgan has fumbled it on back-to-back drives as he's got Ishmael just shy of the end zone. Would have been his 2nd touchdown of the game, but he gets it to the 1. Of Morgan's 163 passing yards, about 75% have gone to Ishmael. 3rd and goal, QB sneak. First career scrimmage touchdown for Ace Morgan. We have not played a very good game, yet we are winning on the road against the reigning champions, 14-13. Westwood looking short. Finally, it's Will Sara. His first catch of the game. He's supposed to be one of the best receivers in the country. He hasn't touched the ball for 30 minutes. 2nd down, Ajala in motion, and the trickery does not fool the Hokies. K'Wan Stewart, the redshirt freshman, brings him down. 3rd and 8, up the middle. Kamara is wide open, completely fooling the defense. Breaks about 5 tackles, and he gets it to the 45-yard line. What a play. On 2nd down, Westwood picked off! Mitch Myrie jumps the route, and he is gone! The reigning champions on upset alert! Mitch Myrie with the pick 6, and Virginia Tech adds to the lead. Our secondary has been unbelievable. Myrie's been all around the ball, and he just made the biggest play at the game. The 2 corners have been outstanding. Colby Cook has been outstanding. These guys in the DB room are single-handedly winning us this game. I'm really happy for Myrie. He's played on 4 different schools in 4 years. Last year at UTSA, hasn't really found a home. I feel like this can be it, even if it's just 1 year. 21-13, we've got the lead going into the 4th. Now we've got to run the ball more consistently. Certainly looked better there in the 3rd with Mickens, but it was a very sloppy quarter from Morgan. He fumbled it twice. Kamara up the middle, another big play. Into the red zone now is the Red Raiders. Touchdown and 2-point conversion tie it up. Westwood, here's part 1. He's able to get by Elihu Gold, reach himself over. A quick and much-needed response by Texas Tech. Now they go for 2, looking to tie the game at 21 with 9 minutes to go. What's the play call? They've done a good job of running the ball, but it's a pass. Westwood has Armstrong, has blocks. That offensive lineman, 54, made the play. He blocked 2 guys there in space to give Armstrong the room to get the 2. All right, young man, let's see what you got. Rocky 3rd quarter for Ace Morgan. We're hoping it's better in the 4th. I mean, it's hard to be better when he has no time to throw it. Jesus Roos, his 2nd sack of the game. Him and Lasco continue to find ways to one-up each other. 3rd and 12 on the run. Mickens in space, first down. Mickens still up as he gets it past the 45. What I really am impressed about with Mickens is how good he is as a receiver. A huge passing threat during his 3 years at UMass. Play action. Here is Morgan. He's got Ishmael. Hard catch to the 30. 7 for $164 for Nazir Ishmael. Morgan, meanwhile, 13 of 16, 210 yards. When he's gotten the ball out, he's done a great job as a passer. Misfires low for Adams, who hasn't caught the ball yet. And that'll bring out the field goal unit looking for the lead. It's a 45-yarder for Swinyer, who missed one from a similar distance earlier in the game. His kick for the lead, I really don't get why it's in slow motion, but it is good. That was kind of a close kick. The slow motion did sort of make it dramatic. 24-21, 5 minutes to go. A potential game-winning drive opportunity for the Red Raiders. Westwood thrown down. Emmanuel DeRougy. He's had a couple splash plays in the backfield today. He's there with the TFL. Now a 3rd down and 9. Westwood looks to throw it under pressure. Braylon White in the backfield. The lone sack for Virginia Tech, and he makes one of the biggest defensive plays of the game. 3rd and 3. Morgan looks to throw it. Rolls out. Gonna look to scramble. Has room. Gets the first down and is pushed out of bounds by Jesus Roos. It stops the clock, but it is a massive first down for Morgan. 3rd and 9 under more pressure to the right. Ishmael is open, but he's hit as he throws. Nazir Ishmael has made these defensive backs look like children. I mean, he's gotten open so easily. If Morgan wasn't hit and delivered the throw, that could have been a touchdown. 24-21 at the 2-minute warning. This could be it for Westwood in the offense. 3rd and 2. Armstrong up the middle. First down. Armstrong still up. He gets it near the 50. Wrapped up by Corbin Roll, the junior linebacker. All they need is a field goal to tie. Armstrong gets it back, and he is smothered in the backfield by Colby Cook, the sophomore captain. 3rd down and 3. It's Matlock. No, it's an option. Westwood, first down. Nearing the 30, tackled by Elihu Gold, who's been great in coverage and great as a run defender, too. There is Sara. Sara with the spin inside the 10. He is so dangerous with the ball. They just haven't been able to get him the ball. Texas Tech now in striking distance with a minute. 1st and goal. Armstrong does not get much. Royland Mathis with the tackle. Texas Tech should be in no rush. If anyone's calling timeouts now, it would probably be us at this point. 2nd and goal. Westwood on the option. Gets yardage, but he still needs about 3. They're going to go no huddle. I kind of understand given that there's only 30 seconds left. You want to make sure you have time for 2 plays. 3rd and goal with 1 timeout. Westwood looks to throw. Short pass. Armstrong, touchdown! Texas Tech takes the lead with 20 to go. A revenge game for Mark Armstrong, and boy, has he delivered. Over 100 yards on the ground, a rushing score, and possibly the clinching touchdown through the air. Other than the Virginia game last year, he never was this good. 17 seconds, 3 timeouts for the Hokies. Morgan tries to scramble. He is sacked. McPherson is there to bring him down for a loss. We got to use timeout number 1. Now with just 1 left on 3rd and 13. 3, 2, no one's open. He'll throw it away. And that'll make it a 4th down with 1 second left. This is it. Morgan trying to signal something to Nazir Ishmael, who's having trouble inputting it. Doesn't look like it's going to be a Hail Mary here. I guess they're going to try to play the lateral game. Ishmael's running the wrong route. He was supposed to go short. On the run, tipped and incomplete. And that'll do it. Miscommunication with Morgan and Ishmael. He was supposed to run an in route within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. And then from there, we were going to play the lateral game. I don't know why he was past the first down marker. Texas Tech avoids the upset. 28-24. It was not a pretty win at all for the Red Raiders, but they're able to hold on and prevail with a game-winning touchdown by Collin Westwood and the final score by Mark Armstrong, the former Virginia Tech Hokie, who wins the player of the game against his former squad, outplaying our shiny new toy, Chris Mickens. I think the defense played a really good game, and I think the offense left a lot to be desired. Kind of an up and down game for Ace Morgan. He threw the ball really well through 3 quarters, but I think he did not fare well against pressure. And then down the stretch, he was horrible. He threw incompletions for his last 6 throws. He was 13 of 16 at one point. Now, he had some great plays. Him and Ishmael clearly have a lot of chemistry already, but he's got to do a better job under pressure. I know we're not going to play against a pass rush like this again, but still. On the ground, Mickens, 16 for 73. He was, I mean, it wasn't really his fault. The offensive line was a train wreck, so I'll be inclined to see what he does going forward. The biggest bright spot was Nazir Ishmael. Holy hell, was he good. 7 for 164 and a score, and he could have had more if the rest of the offense was good. The other receivers were very quiet. Only 1 catch for Caffrey, only 2 for Stesko. Adams had none. Baker had none. The offensive line was an absolute train wreck. There is not more that needs to be said. Defensively, though, I thought we were really good. I thought the secondary was tremendous. We didn't really send much pass rush, but these guys were still awesome. Gold and Lewis shut down All-American NFL wide receivers, and they both still had 10 tackles. They were both super impactful around the ball in the run game. Smoke, of course, at the crazy interception, as did Myrie, who was great. Cook was great. I mean, I think the secondary could really be the identity of the team, given that other than Myrie, it's all returning starters, and Myrie still has started for 3 years at other places. Westwood, I thought, was fine. 2 interceptions were certainly not ideal. He didn't do a good job of pushing the ball down the field, but he was clutch. I'll give him that. Armstrong, though, was the engine of the offense, had the big touchdown late. The other receivers were very quiet. Kamara was good. Ajala was good. But Sara only had 4 catches, and Phantom only had 3. Sara did make that big play, though, on the final drive where he was spinning away for 25. That was one of the biggest plays of the game. Defensively, though, these guys are unbelievable. Denario Lasco and Jesus Ruz combined for 8 TFLs, 16 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, and a fumble force. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that there's a real shot that those 2 guys are the first 2 defensive players off the board. I mean, holy hell, did they take over the game. They were unblockable. We are lucky we're not going to have to play against them again. We could not run the ball. We could not throw the ball. Those 2 guys won the game for Texas Tech. Without those 2, we absolutely would have taken care of business. So on one hand, we almost beat the reigning champs on the road. But on the other hand, there's a lot this team needs to work on. We've got some exciting games in week 1, 5 additional top 25 matchups. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Ohio State. That could have been the national championship. Those 2 teams lost in the semifinals. So it's kind of like we're getting the 3rd place game. Winner, you would think, moves up to number 1. Tennessee, Stanford, SMU, Texas, Kansas State, Michigan. Some really, really good games as we will start off in Columbia, Missouri. TCU has a lot of expectations for me. Their offense is loaded. Another year with junior quarterback Carson Mayfield, who was terrific as a sophomore and could be an NFL guy. This ended up being a really high-scoring game. TCU's offense was not at fault, but their defense really struggled. Sophomore Caden Almanza helped lead Missouri to the upset. I thought the Tigers were really disappointing last year. They lost their top 2 receivers, Caleb Grubb and Chris Venable, in the portal, but they win in double overtime, 45-42. Almanza, to me, is a gunslinger. When we played against Missouri last year, he was looking down the field the whole game. He definitely needs to improve on his efficiency, but he was pretty efficient in this game while still completing 13.5 yards per completion. The number 1 receiver seems to be sophomore Benjamin Calaboy. With Grubb and Venable gone, he will be the go-to target in this offense. Carson Mayfield wasn't bad. For his standards, I feel like he could have been a little bit better. However, I still like this TCU team, but they've got to play against Texas Tech next week, and we know firsthand that trying to generate offense against that defensive line is not easy. Kansas State and Michigan at the Big House. 2 teams who barely missed out on the playoffs last year. I think they might have been the first 2 teams out, if I recall. Michigan has a lot of returning production, and I think that's going to really help the floor of this team, including sophomore running back Tayshaun Treater. Showboating at the 15-yard line, he was that confident. Michigan gets the better of the Wildcats, 31-20. I just don't think Kansas State really is the horses to contend with the top teams in the Big 12. I commend them for winning, 9-10 games last year. They're not on the talent level as Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and Arizona State, but they won 10 games last year. Elijah Pyle has a huge year upcoming. He did not play very well in this first game. His team won in spite of him rather than because of him. Only 3 different players caught the ball for Michigan, including Caleb Grubb, the Missouri transfer who I just hinted at earlier, and Preston Wells, the all-time current active leader in receiving. James Madison and Memphis. Why am I showing this game? Well, I think there could be a lot of late-season Group of 5 playoff implications because both of these teams have a real shot. This Memphis team is probably the biggest overall threat to dethrone USF, and it's because of this guy, Arian Igwebuike. The sophomore quarterback is one of the most dynamic players at the position in the country. Memphis 31-23. They are now ranked. Noah DeVal's was okay for James Madison. He's certainly going to have some growing pains now that he doesn't have an All-American first-round wide receiver on his offense in Dorian Sahara. Hashim Ishmael was his number 1 target, the cousin of Nazir Ishmael, who came over in the portal from James Madison. He actually had more yards last year than Nazir Ishmael did. He had 1,000 on the nose. Igwebuike was pretty good through the air, and he was very impressive on the ground. Credit to Memphis for retaining him, not letting him go in the portal, because now they've got as good of a shot as anyone to get that Group of 5 playoff spot over USF, who starts their season against Duke. Hydrogen bomb meets hydrogen bomb. USF's offense versus Duke's defense. Well, here's the difference from last year. Duke does not have Cabal Monroe or Fernell Edwards flying across the edge. USF made it look easy on this side of the ball. 15 catches, 203 yards for Marcus Blower. Who needs Jalen Davies-Landiner anyway? Now Duke, whose offense is really bad, still ended up scoring 44 points. Mark Ullery throws 4 touchdowns for the Blue Devils. I don't even know if he had 4 touchdowns all season last year. So for USF, I'm awfully concerned that their defense played this bad. 300-yard receivers, including true freshman Kiki Alaka, a player who we went after very hard in recruiting. The good news for South Florida is that Josh Scarborough is back, and they will not miss a beat without Jalen Davies-Landiner. Marcus Blower might be even better, and he was great last year, along with Chris Venable, who they got from Missouri. We head to the Chick-fil-A kickoff in Atlanta, Florida versus Clemson, 2 of the youngest teams in the country. Both had a lot of growing pains a season ago with freshman quarterbacks who are now more experienced. I think for Clemson especially, they've got to start the year off strong after losing a couple games early last season. And they did start the season strong. Was not a great game from redshirt sophomore Nick Eberle, who is being talked about as a possible first-rounder, but he does lead Clemson, who we play against towards the middle of the year, to the win. 38-19, 24 points in the second half. Eberle throws 3 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. He only completed 52% of his throws. He's got to be more accurate. Certainly spread the ball around through the air. They've got a really well-rounded receiving core, especially with the addition of Judah Yesufu from Liberty. Mayor Stokes was okay. I assume he got hurt. True freshman KJ King comes in, and it was ugly. Hopefully they don't need him anymore. Wasting a great performance for Malachi Dunham. 162 yards, 7 a pop for the sophomore. Next up, we head to Illinois. Last year, these 2 teams played against each other. ECU beat Illinois. It seemed like an upset at the time, given that Illinois was ranked pretty highly. Little did we know East Carolina was going to be really good. This year, kind of the opposite, I guess. I mean, Illinois is ranked. I kind of thought ECU was going to win this game, and I was wrong, certainly. 39-35, Illinois outscoring East Carolina 18-0 in the fourth quarter. The Pirates completely blew it. Julian Hero's a confusing player to me. He was a Heisman frontrunner for much of last year, in my opinion, wrongfully. But it felt like ECU left a lot on the table last year. So to start this season off with a loss is not ideal. We, of course, get to play against East Carolina towards the middle of the year. As for Illinois, true freshman Nair Dinkins was okay in his first start, but the real story was Bronson Truman. He finally gets to be the full-time starter again with Anthony Anderson in the NFL with the Bills, and he runs for $172 and 4. True freshman Quintavion Smear with a good game through the air. This Illinois offense is really young, but they've got a senior back that they can really lean on. Tennessee versus Stanford. There is zero excuse for the Vols this year. They should absolutely contend and be really the favorite, in my opinion, in the SEC. Well, their offense looked the part for sure. Wide receiver Sir Odiah Nobles, the projected top 5 pick, sure looked like it. It was a thriller, but the Vols win it 49-46. A terrific game between these two teams. Now, Stanford made a very interesting decision this offseason because they landed a home run in the portal with quarterback Solomon Sifu, who had a great freshman year at Hawaii. However, they were so impressed by freshman Nathan Jackson Lucas that they gave him the starting job. A shocker. And so far, that decision has aged well. He threw 5 touchdowns. Zaylen Dotley with a good game. Dragan Brankovic with nearly 190 yards. They're hoping he'll be the new Lonnie Block. As for Tennessee, their offense looked great. Kamari Fisher played very well, encouraging after his collapse in the playoff. Marcel Merrick was good. Sorodiah Nobles was very impressive. Ralph Tuggle, Taylor Pierce. Everybody's eating. SMU and Texas, a couple of in-state foes. The Mustangs, in my opinion, are the preseason favorite to win the whole thing. Tyree Wells should be the preseason Heisman favorite and #1 pick. Wells did not play a great game, admittedly, but he had some big throws, including that one to Parker Zasko in the end zone. SMU wins in overtime, 49-42. Wells did throw an interception. He was only picked off twice last year, and he only completed 56% of his throws. So certainly a lot to clean up on, but it is game 1. He's got time to right the ship. I'm excited about this running back, Devon Easter, with 3 scores and over 100 yards. Parker Zasko was the leader through the air. Travis Faust and Raylo Benway are supposed to be the 2 best, and they were both pretty quiet. As for Texas, I thought Bryce Carver had a good game, and honestly, I feel better about this team than I did going into the year. Even though they lost, they stood toe-to-toe with arguably the best team in the country. And then we'll wrap things up with the biggest of them all. #2, Georgia. #3, Ohio State. Vibes feel very different for these 2 teams. For Georgia, the sky is falling. They lost a bunch of underclassmen at the draft. Hoppy Reynolds transfers to LSU. Sorodiah Nobles goes to Tennessee. As for Ohio State, I'd like you to meet the phenom. 5-star redshirt freshman quarterback Malachi Foreman, who I think will be the #1 pick in 2 years from now. Connecting with true freshman Aston Alexander III in for a score. Ohio State wins somewhat comfortably, 38-21. I'm worried about this Georgia team. I think their roster might be the best in the country, but the vibes for them are in the toilet. Ryan Lockley in his first start was okay. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. Curtin Pexel, the freshman running back, was impressive. He had a bulk of the touches over the veteran Bryce Lane. And Brian Maddie played a good game. That's encouraging. Malachi Foreman, 4 scores. Welcome to Ohio State, young man. He was very impressive. Jermaine Whiteheart played a good game through the air. 3 for 111 and a score for Aston Alexander. Ohio State coaches say he is the best receiving prospect they've ever had. Think about that. With all the high first-rounders they've had, that says a lot. Looking at all the scores across the nation, LSU takes care of business. Good debut for Hoppy Reynolds. Miami, somewhat close over Central Florida. Penn State dominates Houston. True freshman quarterback Bugs Vitelli, 4 touchdowns. He was very good for the Nittany Lions. Oregon takes care of business. Oklahoma with a good win. Nebraska puts up nearly 70. Running back Tamario Harold wins the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. As for the ACC, the big surprise, I would say, is Florida State losing to Baylor. Now, Baylor might just be kind of good. They almost beat Notre Dame on the road. But, yeah, Florida State, rough outing defensively. Denzel Bond, 2.5 yards per carry. Granted, Amari Blue only had 3.5 against them. Ole Miss puts up nearly 60 on Georgia Tech, while Virginia beats Colorado. Again, to think Colorado could have had Tyree Wells throwing the ball. To be honest, there were not that many shocking results in Week 1. In terms of the 6 top 25 matchups, I would say the favorite went 6-0, in my opinion. And then even in the other games, there were not that many shocking upsets. TCU losing is a little bit of a surprise, but I don't think they're that much better than a team like Missouri. The Tigers are pretty solid. USC takes care of business. Alabama put up 60. Denny Love, 4 touchdowns, had a very good debut with the Crimson Tide. Iowa State puts up 57 on Texas A&M. That one caught my eye. Cyclones with a good veteran quarterback, Greg Gaines, the redshirt senior. As we take a look at the rankings, Ohio State understandably jumps Alabama to the #1 spot. Georgia falls all the way to 12. That does feel a little low. I get the vibes are low, but they are a very good team. Virginia Tech leaves the rankings as soon as we got there, which is understandable. I mean, we lost. So, I can't really blame them. As for the players of the week, Javier Snyder of Akron and Tevin Morris of NC State. I'm a little surprised neither of the Texas Tech guys are there. Not even for the Big 12, which is nuts. How did Lasco not win it? Or Jesus Ruse? As for the Heisman watch, no movement yet, but that'll change. None of these guys were that good in week 1 other than Braden Rogers, and Rogers really shouldn't be here to begin with. He wasn't very good last year. So I would say next week, that's when we're going to see a lot of movement. I think all 5 of those players are probably going to be replaced. We've got a doubleheader next time around, our home opener against Marshall, and then on the road against Maryland. I don't think there are any top 25 matchups in week 2, which means we will get chaos because we would least expect it. We'll see if the Hokies can bounce back. Marshall lost a lot this offseason, including running back Evan Sutton to the portal. Maryland's a talented team, though. They are very young, but very fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Nonetheless, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.